how Shedeur Sanders' game translates to the NFL. Obviously, Shedeur just won the Johnny Unitas Award. But I wanted to discuss that with you. How do you think Shedeur's game translates to the NFL? Go ahead.
Well, I think the first thing you have to understand is the supply doesn't always meet the demand in the NFL. So when you're evaluating a quarterback class and where certain guys are going to get selected, you have to be honest with yourself about how good is that year's crop. And this is where I think Shedeur becomes a viable number one selection candidate. This isn't a good crop of quarterbacks. So anybody that wants a quarterback in this draft pretty much has to figure out how to get Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward. So it bodes well for Shedeur. I think because of his last name, because of his exposure, he's more well-known. I think he's slightly more polished than Cam Ward, if not as talented. So I wouldn't be surprised if Shedeur goes number one. The only problem with that is if the number one team already has a quarterback. Let's say Jacksonville ends up number one, they got Trevor Lawrence. Then they're not taking Shedeur, but I unequivocally think he'll probably be the first quarterback off the board because I just don't think this is that good of a class. The guys that we thought were going to be good didn't pan out. Carson Beck regressed. You can look across the wall. None of the guys that we assume, we're going to be like Dylan Gabriel. He hadn't had like I got to get drafted in the first round year, even though Oregon's undefeated and he's playing solid. So it's good for Shedeur. Because for context, I think if Shedeur's in last year's class, he's maybe third, most likely fourth or fifth quarterback taken.
In last year's class, they're turning out to be pretty good this year. Even though Caleb Williams is struggling, he still looks good at times. Let me ask you this. You know that it's so much as a quarterback where you go as opposed to, who you are. The top of the draft right now is Raiders, Giants. I think the Raiders have the one pick, right?
Yep. Yes.
If you're Shedeur and you're Dion, which one? You want to go to Vegas and play in a dome and play in the heat and the bright lights of Las Vegas, or do you want to go play in maybe the worst stadium and in the NFL at MetLife in the wind in New Jersey for the Mayer family, who we saw yesterday planes circling the stadium, asking them to stop the dumpster fire. If I'm Shedeur, I'm trying to go to Vegas quick.
So here's what's interesting about that. Both situations are so similar. I mean, if Daboll isn't fired, both are probably in lame duck situations next year, right? AP and Daboll. The only thing I would say as a quarterback, at least in New York, you have Malik Neighbors and Tyron Tracy. Yeah. So you've got two young skill guys to assist. I mean, when you look at this Raiders roster offensively, it's Brock Bowers and it's not a whole lot, else in the cupboard. So I want AP to succeed. So I hope it's Vegas. But you started this off by saying fit. Is Vegas the best fit for a young quarterback? It just depends. It depends because if they're not going to fire AP, then can AP afford to go 4-13 next year? While Shedeur kind of develops and grows and is allowed to make mistakes without pressure, or is AP like, I got to try and be 500 so I can be the coach in Shedeur's second year? Like, it gets tricky in some of these situations. Whereas, Matt, before you say that, whereas if Daboll gets fired in New York and Shedeur goes to New York with a brand new staff, now the first year is just to go out and figure out what you can and can't do in the NFL year. Because it's a new staff, no expectations. We got kind of 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other.
Yeah, and I guess when you're looking at the division you walk into, too, if he walks into the division with the Raiders where he's got Herbert, Nix, and Mahomes, I mean, that's a great quarterback division right there, but he's definitely the fourth guy on that list as a rookie. You walk into the NFC East, and you've got Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Dak maybe, and whoever's in New York, be Shedeur. I don't know, he's probably fourth on that list too. That's a pretty good quarterback division as well. So if you are Jacksonville and say Jacksonville does get the first pick, are they really not going to draft Shedeur? Like, I'd be trying to trade Trevor Lawrence to draft Shedeur at this point. Why keep old soft brain Trevor? He looked like he's done playing for the year. That's for damn sure.
So that makes a lot of sense. It'd be unprecedented. We hadn't seen that work. I think the team that's going to attempt to do it is Dallas. I can see Dallas offering Dak to a quarterback needy team in the top 3, trying to get up and get a Shedeur. It'd be fascinating. I would presume that if Jacksonville had the one, that they would take Travis Hunter because they kind of need help. They need another guy opposite Brian Thomas, in my opinion, and then they need help on defense, so it kind of makes sense. But is Doug Peterson going to be the head coach in Jacksonville? I mean,
so you're telling me if Jacksonville has the number 1 pick, Dallas trades Dak to Jacksonville?
No. I'm saying like if there's going to be a $60 million a year quarterback that gets traded.
Okay, I gotcha.
I can see Dallas trying to do it. Jacksonville's not going to trade Trevor. They're all in with Trevor. They're going to blame the head coach first. So Peterson will get fired before they gave up on Trevor Lawrence.
Huh. Do you think Mike McCarthy is going to be in Dallas next season?
Yeah, I don't think he gets fired.
I mean, it doesn't matter.
I don't think it matters either. That's good point.
Dallas is
a
team
point, Shaun.
They're not going anywhere. Their big decision now, after they paid CD and Dak, is what to do with Micah. Like now, do you make Micah the highest paid defensive player in football, knowing that he seems to be like 1 foot out the door half the time? He's halfway in the media, halfway still an active player. Like, who the hell knows? Like, I wouldn't want to be the Dallas coach.
Right. Yeah,
absolutely. All right, so what do you think the best fit for Shedeur is if he could go anywhere? Would it be Dallas?
Give me the top 5 right now. Who are the top 5?
There you go.
I don't see him getting outside of the top 5. I know it's Raiders, Giants.
Giants, New England, Carolina, Jacksonville, and then you got Tennessee and the Jets going to 7.
The Tennessee and the Jets are the teams that really need fucking quarterbacks.
Yeah, I would be honest. If he could go to Tennessee, because they've got Calvin Ridley, they've got Tony Pollard, Tajay Spears, the young tight end, and the receiver with the 3 names. He's starting to play good on defense. Yeah. It's not like anybody in Tennessee is going to get rid of their season tickets because he replaces Will Levis. Like, to me, that would be the spot where he can go in and kind of become the face of the franchise and have enough talent around him where you got a chance to be successful early.
And he'd be blamed for Callahan, and Bill Callahan's there, so you know he's going to be protected. Bill Callahan's a badass O-line coach. So, I can see that. Just don't go to the Jets.
Yeah, I don't like the Jets situation.
Don't do it. Don't I'm a Jet alum, bro, and I love the Jets, but please, for the love of God, don't draft Shedeur or Travis. Just sit in New York and suck, and I'll just take it every year from this point. I don't care anymore.
The Jets going to have a disgruntled team, man, because Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall want to get paid. They'll be interesting offseason there.
Yeah.
I just can't believe it happened the way it happened. Like, come on, dog. We can't win with Brett Favre or Aaron Rodgers. We can't win one fucking time. We can't win once. Not one time. Shit.